and acknowledges the Kakite First Nation as well as all Coast Salish peoples on whose traditional and unceded territories we live, we learn, we play, and we do our work. The agenda for tonight's meeting has been circulated and posted. If I could get a motion first to adopt the agenda as circulated. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Okay, approval of the minutes. We have minutes of the May 27th regular meeting. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes as distributed for May 27th regular school board meeting. So we moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Carried. Sorry. Why does the video always turn on? The next set is the minutes of June 23rd. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the June 23rd, 2025 regular school board meeting. It's been moved and seconded. Thank you. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. And any business arising from the minutes? Okay. Seeing none, we're going to move. Oh, sorry. Trustee Sluice, go ahead.
Thank you so much. I actually don't recall which meeting it was in, but I wondered if there was any update from staff around the ICY framework that was reported as being created in one of those meeting minutes.
Thank you. Superintendent Davidson.
So we met with government folks, shared with them our desire for ICY, shared with them information and data that was provided for us, and
Sorry, am I the only one that lost audio?
Oh dear. I think so. Yeah. Can you hear us now, Cheryl?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. I have no audio at this point.
Oh crap. Sorry. Apologies. You can hear me. Is that right?
I can hear you. Yeah. Which makes me think it's not on my end.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, start fresh. So we submitted a request for consideration for ICY using data from partner organizations like Fraser Health and our own data, and we shared it with the executive director in charge of that program. And I want to make it clear that they were really interested in what we had to say about the needs in our jurisdiction, but they were also pretty clear that they've never done this by application, that they've approached jurisdiction based on the data that they see. We've made the case that our data moves very quickly here because we've had such significant change in our community over the course of the last number of years due to tremendous enrollment growth. At this point, we're sort of waiting to hear, but we're also making them aware of all of the partnership work that we're doing in order to try and fill those gaps in services for children and youth. So the work of Rick Bladell and others in our system in order to make partnership is work that we're sharing with them as a demonstration of the fact that we understand and are open to that kind of partnership in order to do good things for kiddos. So we're sort of in a standby situation, hoping we're in the next tranche of announcements. Hopefully that happens again.
Yeah, thanks so much.
How is my audio?
It's good.
Thank you very much. Mysterious. Thank you for that. Okay, we're going to move to presentations then, and Sandra Singh is going to let us know about our reporting under the framework for enhancing student learning and that overview data. And I'll remind trustees, we received this report by email, I think about a week ago.
Yeah, hello and good evening. I'm pleased to present the 2024-2025 Enhanced Student Learning Report for School District 40. In accordance with the Ministry of Education and Child Care's framework for enhancing student learning, all school districts in British Columbia are required to engage in a cyclical process of evidence-based informed planning, reporting, and continuous improvement. Furthermore, each school district must develop and submit an enhancing student learning report annually that reflects district level goals, strategies, and evidence of progress. Use multiple sources of data, including provincial assessments, local measures, and student voice to inform planning and decision-making, and align district goals with the ministry's policy priorities, including improving literacy and numeracy, supporting Indigenous student success, and fostering student well-being. The Enhancing Student Learning Report for New Westminster Schools outlines the district's strategic priorities, highlights progress made over the past year, and identifies areas for continued focus. The report reflects the district's commitment to fostering inclusive, innovative, and student-centered learning environments.
Okay, great. Thank you. So this is something that, as mentioned, we actually, if you could just turn off your microphone, sorry. Those we get ringing. Thank you. Part of our reporting and transparency, both to the ministry and to the public. It is posted on the website at the same time, or will be shortly, I believe. So the board just receives that information here. It is a lot of data, so we aren't going through all of those results at this meeting. We're going to be going through them sort of piece by piece throughout our board meetings for the rest of the year and having an in-depth conversation about them. Trustee Connolly.
Yeah, I had a quick question. It came up at the BCSTA Metro Branch meeting, and the representative from Richmond was referring to the fact that the ELL numbers are not reflected. It's not required by the ministry at this point, but just looking at the possibility of perhaps some advocacy around that and drawing that out in the report going to the province. I just kind of wanted to let us be aware of that. They actually asked staff to include that, so that the ELL was a component just for information's sake for the district. We're sitting at a quarter of our students, I believe, are falling into that category, and I think it's worthwhile to see how, coming into our district as an ELL student is being impacted, is how their learning is translating through a report like this as well. So I just wanted to draw folks' attention to that.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments on the FESL data? Trustee Andres.
I don't know if this is the right time for this. Something that I continue to notice is that the grade 10 numeracy assessment does not seem to be an accurate indicator of student achievement in our districts, and it doesn't seem to fall in line with our other assessments, with our FSA assessments. And I'm curious if some advocacy could happen from our district, perhaps to ask the ministry about this evaluation, which is important. Like, it is something that all students take part in grade 10, and yet seems to have limited use for us as a district and for others. So I'm just curious of your thoughts on that. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the question. The statement that you've made regarding the numeracy assessment for grade 10 and the rates of participation and also the rate of progress. That has been noted in the report along with the recommendation that is in part 2 of the report as well. Certainly, our planning team has taken note of it, and there are some actionable steps that we wish to proceed with in the coming year to address that.
Got trustee Sluice online.
Thanks so much. I know that there are many discussions to come about what's in that report. I did just want to give a big thank you to Sandra Singh for the effort and the change in the way that we're seeing information. It's, I think, much improved, and I think will allow us to have more in-depth and more meaningful discussions. So just wanted to note that the changes are really positive in terms of the format and the information we're seeing. So thanks for that.
Great. Any other discussion? Superintendent Davidson?
I just really quickly want to say, first of all, thank you for all of your work. Something that I find particularly exciting about the way this report is structured is how Sandy has connected what's in the report to a section at the end that connects it to our strategic plan. You'll see in a few moments when I speak to my portion of the agenda, a further effort to make those connections so that we're connecting what we see in the data to our focused action and to the way we support all of the departments and staff in our system and students. So I appreciate that effort to begin that process in this foundational document to tie everything together that way.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Thank you so much, Director Singh, and look forward to discussing it further at our next meetings. Okay. There is a motion. I think there's not a motion. Okay. There is a recommendation then that the Board of Education of School District Number 40, New Westminster, approves the 2024-2025 Enhancing Student Learning Report for submission to the Ministry of Education and Childcare. Can I get that moved, please? It's been moved and seconded. Any just further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Thanks very much. Okay, so we're at correspondence. A number of pieces of correspondence were included in your package. Just of interest to the board. I think those are just there, yeah, for your information. Trustee Delaval.
I had a question regarding the letter that we received from the minister that we were CC'd on regarding the dedicated school bus. It took us years to secure the pilot, and funding is not something that our district can sustain without provincial support. There's a level of certainty I think the community expects, obviously, before June. I did notice in the letter, it says that, you know, they're dedicated to working collaboratively with the school district. What is that? Like, do you have an update for us? No, okay. Can we, like, I guess, follow up and like get an update on resuming those conversations? Because it does take a long time, and I think that work should start now. Thank you.
It is, I mean, one option to consider, which is not on the agenda, but the board could pass a motion to strongly, you know, vigorously advocate for permanent funding to continue the program. Might be something we want to consider. It's certainly that's the position we've taken, I think, but I don't think we actually have a board motion on the books to that effect. So putting that out there if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Okay. So it moved that the Board of Education will vigorously advocate for permanent funding for the Queensborough school bus pilot. It's been moved and seconded. Great. Any discussion? Trustee Connolly?
I guess vigorously advocate. I wonder if that's would include a letter as well. Then.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. Yeah, Trustee Connolly.
I just want to make a comment around the response regarding accessibility funding. And it certainly, our letter acknowledged the fact that there are those other parcels of funding, but it was a disappointing response in that the letter was asking for dedicated, and they basically spelled out to us what we already get, which we acknowledged in our letter. So that's really disappointing. And with regards to the dedicated school bus letter, I do know there's a petition circulating. I would certainly encourage parents to sign that if they have an opportunity.
Thank you. Trustee Carlson.
Thank you. In regards to the minister's letter of infrastructure regarding accessibility upgrades, I read that basically the funding is only through grants and the school enhancement program, which means we may or may not be successful. I think we need to be pushing on that more. I also want to know when we send in our letter about the bus, that is actually, the funding is supplied for as long as it is needed, not for 1 year.
I think the wording we said was permanent. Yeah, thank you. Okay, great. Anything else on correspondence? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move to board committee reports. The first is the Committee of the Whole, which met on June 10th. I believe that I was the chair of that committee. It's a bit of a blur. I apologize. We had a discussion around administrative procedure on online courses, and we received the SOGI report. So the recommendation is to approve the minutes as distributed for the June 10th, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting. If I could get a mover, please. Mover, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. And then Audit Committee. And I want to thank staff and trustees and our Audit Committee Chair, Trustee Slynn, for this. This is a new committee that we formed to add a level of oversight and a new opportunity for maybe more vigorous and in detail discussion of our audited financial statements, and where we've added an external member. So I don't know if Committee Chair would like to speak to that quickly.
Sure, thanks, Chair. Yeah, on September 11th, we met as the audit committee. There was Dan and Kinga from KPMG, Secretary Treasurer Bettina Ketchum and Amy Gray, as well as our external auditor Vincent Tan, and then myself, Trustee Connolly, and Trustee Sluice were present, as well as the superintendent. It was a good conversation about the financial health of the district, any sort of risks that they were able to pinpoint, and those were all minimal or non-existent. I really appreciated Vincent's external eye and strong sense of where we're at as a district and like what we should be looking at as board members, because not all of us are trained in finances. And so his insights were super appreciated, and I just hope that we can use him as a partner again in the future and continue to work with KPMG. But yeah, there was no assessed risk for the district. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So there's a recommendation that the Board of Education receive the Audit Committee report as distributed. If I could get a mover and a seconder for that, please. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. And then the audited financial statements for the fiscal year 2024-2025 are attached, and they were discussed in detail at the audit committee. So it's a change for this year, but we're actually not going to go through the whole presentation here, although trustees are welcome to ask any additional questions here. So they're looking for a recommendation. We're looking for a motion to approve the 2024-2025 audited financial statements as presented. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Trustee Connolly.
I did just see in the report around the what was it, the Student and Family Affordability Fund, has there been any talk about, and this year obviously is a big blank, has there any discussion that you've heard about replacing that funding? I was just at a PAC meeting at Queensborough Middle School, and they're already, looking at fundraising to replace that. The need is still there for sure.
Thanks for the question. Unfortunately, there's been no confirmation by government that the Student Family Affordability Fund is continuing. We have some surplus dollars from the prior year that we're looking to distribute to schools to assist in any families experiencing cost pressures and so on and so forth, but certainly not to the same level of supports that we've seen in past, and no indication that any additional funds will be coming our way as a renewed injection for those purposes.
Okay, any other questions or discussion?
Sorry,
Yeah,
just to
go ahead.
follow up on that one, just you're saying no indication, so there could be, or you're thinking that that's
Generally, by now, we would have had grants confirmed to us for this upcoming year. So unless
Okay.
there's some mid-year announcement, we're not anticipating any additional funds for that particular use as been previously granted.
I think that that's something the board, whether we do it now, write a motion, advocating to the ministry that we need those funds, or I can work on it for our next meeting, whatever works for the board. But
Yeah, maybe we could ask to maybe check in with principals to just get a bit of a picture of what does that mean for families, because we know those funds were really, really well used, and then we could bring something back to the next meeting. If that's okay. I think that would be great.
is a motion needed to direct staff? Sorry.
Sure. I think they'd be happy to do it. I see the superintendent nodding. I think you're good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes it makes us feel good to pass the motions, but thank you so much. And then I just draw your attention to the package in page 73, and we have the plain language. One of my favorite things is the financial statement discussion and analysis document. Bettina's laughing at me, but this thing is fantastic, and it's a very, very good read, and it tells you a great amount of information about the district. And it's really, I love that it's plain language document. I will also just note, we had a bit of a back and forth around the audit committee. When we revised our board policies, we formed a new audit committee, which was one of my pet projects. The policy reads that meeting is an in-camera meeting. I think that we made a mistake there, because that vigorous discussion around the audited financial statements is not available to the public, which I think is the point. So I think the board might want to revisit that within the next year. I know that excellent work happened there, but I think it's important that the public can see it as well. So I'll throw that out there for the board to think about. But thank you so much for all of that work, Trustee Carlson.
Thank you. I actually have a question on this great financial statement. I noticed when it talked about the standard K-12 enrollment, it talked about being in line with the rest of BC, but I didn't see that with the increase of the students with diverse abilities or the increase with the English language learners, whether our increase is consistent with the rest of the districts.
I might have to bring that question back, Trustee Carlson, to be able to look around other metro regions to see how our levels of growth are in comparison to other districts in respects of the diverse populations that we have.
Okay, then we're at number 6, reports from senior management, and passing it over to Superintendent Davidson for your update.
So I have on their operational plan development. We'll talk a little bit about because they all die. Maybe I'm catching that. So we have a number of slides or sections in in the agenda package connected to a quick conversation about operational plan development, which is a new process connected to our new strategic plan and our approach to planning and supporting instruction and all services in the system that's tied to research-supported practice and data-informed decision-making. And so we want to share with the board the kind of work that's being done by departments, which is akin to what's going on in schools at their school plans, so that you can sort of get a bit of an idea of the work that's being done today in order to bring you the operational plans of departments beyond schools at the end of October. So what you see up there right now is a glossary of terms that we provided to all managers and departments in our system and asked them to sort of understand them, certainly ask questions about them as they constructed their plans. So next slide. And the next one. And this is the frame of the growth planning document by department. And so what it asked them to do is to consider the rationale for this being an area of focus. And they have to tie that rationale to the goals of the strategic plan, connect it to Indigenous ways of knowing. They have to identify what it is they're going to do and how they'll measure success in that realm as a system and as a portion or part of the system. What is pretty cool about it for us is that we'll all come together with managers and the senior management team, and we'll share one another's plans, and we'll talk about how it's informing the operational plan. We can challenge each other's notions and help them consider new data sets, and we think it'll produce really good conversation about the strategic plan and how to put it into effect in our schools and in the work that we do to support schools. And then next one. And one more. Oh, I didn't see Rick's in there. We had one submitted by Rick Bladell, who manages partnerships in our system. I'd love to show it. I thought we'd had it, but we'll make sure that it gets into the minutes package so people can have a look at it. But what's awesome about it is that he's connected his work to all of the things that I mentioned, and you can see how he's imagining the work that he does with partners having an impact on the well-being and learning of kids, and he's working to identify how you would measure that in a way that makes sense and how you would measure it in a way that allows you to consider your next steps in order to make change in your plan and further improve that data. So it's been an exciting process so far, and I enjoyed it. I know that Bettina's at it, and Matt Brito is at it, and I think he's presenting later. And so it's been a lot of fun. I want to talk a little bit, if I may, about startup and sort of where we're at. What we've noted is that we saw a significant increase in enrollment, it looked like, over the summer. And then since the year has started, we've seen trickle out to other cities and to other places in Canada, all throughout the first few weeks of September. I know from a superintendent's back and forth email, this is the case across the region. So many are up, but not up as far as they expected they would be. And others are down farther than they thought they would be. But there's sort of a general trend of not meeting projections. Last year, we were the only that didn't fall below our projections. This year, we'll be below by, could be around 50-ish students, mostly in elementary and middle, if not entirely in elementary and middle. High school, again, continues to go up. There's a significant population there. The high school, of course, went through the most significant change in our system in implementing the 5-block model, trying to find more space for student seats by adding blocks A and E. And one of the things that we tried to do, although we were really clear in our communication that we wouldn't be able to make everyone have an A to D or a B to E schedule, in the trying, what's happened is we've loaded up B, C, and D pretty heavily, and we're struggling a little bit to fill sections in A and E. What that means is we've gained some benefit out of the increase by the increased block, but we're going to have to move incrementally, but not slowly, in next semester a bit, and then for next year into using those blocks in a different way. That means, for example, having one grade assigned exclusively to A to D, another grade exclusively assigned to B to E, and then a couple of grades assigned to what would be an extended timetable, A to E, which is what's being done in schools that are a little farther along in the 5-block model in our region. So that's some of the work that we're doing. This year we added staff after the year started in order to break up some very large blocks. And we've added additional counseling time in order to try and address the amount of movement that's necessary in order to try and balance schedules. They've done really good work, and the 5-block model is a complicated beast that we're wrapping our head around it. And I think second semester will certainly be less challenging in the startup, and next year better yet. That's been a significant amount of work. I'm really proud of the work that HR has done to secure staffing for most positions. We're significantly better than we were last year in terms of unfilled positions that are being ably filled by TOC this year, but there's been significant improvement there. We are noticing high absences, but that's not surprising in conversations with folks in health that I think that there's a lot of illness in community right now. So that's putting some strain on TOCs and sub-support staff. While we have more people on our lists to fill those positions, there's a lot of draw on those supports. I'm really proud of the work that schools have done in startup. There's a lot of wonderful things happening in schools, and it's exciting to go and visit them, and it's exciting to visit with kids and see the awesome things that they're doing. Well, there you go. That's startup.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the update and the report. Any questions from trustees on those items? Okay, I know that the leadership team has also been doing a lot of work on our short-term capacity, which is coming, I believe, I know it's going to a coordinating committee meeting, and then I think to our October open meeting. So that'll be an important discussion as well. Okay, so next then we have the 5-year capital plan. This is our minor capital project submission. And Matt Brito is not here tonight, so I think Secretary Treasurer Ketchum is going to take this one. I'll just remind the board in late spring we look at major capital. So the school buildings, any site acquisition. This is the smaller pieces under different funding envelopes. Go ahead, thank you.
Thank you. Rightly so, Chair Russell. We are just here to consider the approval of the minor capital project program. So this would include funding under the school enhancement program or carbon neutral program, playground enhancement program, things of that nature. These considerations are done for a cycle ahead. So the submission tonight is for funding that we will get for the 2026-2027 school year. So that's how these approvals typically roll. There should be no real surprises in respect of this report, because many of the projects that you see here were also present in last year's capital plan submission, just rolled forward a year, taking the projects that we had been successful in advocating and gaining funding for, and the other ones simply moving up the list. So on the top of the district's priority list for the school enhancement program this year would be the cooling project at Scowitch Elementary. The district was successful in implementing cooling projects at the high school to the tune of a $3.5 million investment, which completed earlier this year. And so Scowitch Elementary similarly was not approved project at the time with cooling upgrades. And so that is what is being addressed in this request. You'll notice that it's a 2-phased project where we are asking for $1.25 million for phase 1, which will be initiated and spent for the 26-27 year, and then it bleeds over into the other fiscal where the other portion of the money will come in. It will take, it spans 2 fiscal years, but it will be done in one fell swoop when it is turned out, if we are successful in gaining that project. Other school enhancement projects that you see on this list pertain to HVAC upgrades at Queen Elizabeth Elementary. As you all know, we are doing a 21 classroom upgrade addition there. And so this request is going to dovetail with the completion of that addition. And similarly, we have some exterior wall systems on some of our aging buildings, including FW Howie and Lord Kelvin Elementary for $1.7 and $1 million respectively. Similarly, on the carbon neutral program, quite a similar list to last year's request. Last year, we were approved for the first portion of the Herbert Spencer air source heat pump upgrade. So this first priority that you see here is the second phase of that work. Typically, if you are approved for phase 1, ministry will not leave you hanging. They will come in with phase 2 of that work. So we are fully intending on receiving that particular funding to complete that project. Other carbon neutral projects that we are looking to have supported are the Lord Tweedsman Elementary, Queen Elizabeth, Lord Kelvin, and FW Howie schools, all again with the installation of air source heat pumps, which again are there to reduce our reliance on gas and rely more exclusively on electricity, which is why we are able to reduce our carbon footprint. On the playground equipment program, those are our 3 priority schools for the upcoming cycle: FW Howie, Squamish, and Queen Elizabeth Elementary. We did not get a playground equipment program approval for this past year. Hopefully we'll be successful in the school year coming up. So with that, you can see that the minor capital project requests total $10.4 million. Likely we won't be getting the full slate of approvals, but it does give the board an indication of what our priorities are over the coming years. But we hope to see some of those top priorities be addressed for the upcoming approval cycle. There is a recommendation for your consideration, but happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. I'm seeing some hands. I'll go with Trustee Sluice to start.
Thank you. No questions, just really wanted to take the opportunity to celebrate the completion of the cooling project at NWSS. This was a long project that required lots of effort and cost, and I know firsthand that students and staff are very grateful for the cool classrooms. My kids have taken to bringing sweaters to school, and so I just want to say thank you, and it is appreciated.
Thank you. Trustee Connolly.
When we make this submission, are we approaching it with a certainty that we will not be asked to contribute, similar to the 500,000 towards the NWSS cooling, that type of thing?
Yeah, within our submission, we have not put forward any sort of offering to incentivize any sort of approval. So the expectation is that these projects be supported and 100% funded by ministry.
Great. Any other questions or comments? Trustee Carlson.
May we ask that if there's anything new ever coming up that our buildings are built with these cooling systems and air pumps in them while they're being built?
Yeah, just to respond to the NWSS and Squamish cooling projects, to be clear, the projects were always put forward with those mechanisms and systems in place. Unfortunately, during construction, there usually is a process of value engineering to make projects more economical, which is unfortunately why they were not contemplated in the initial build. Unfortunately, this was the route we had to take, which is not a straight path, but you know, there want to acknowledge that there was support for these projects by the ministry, and we're getting there.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay. Any other questions? Then we have a motion. If we could get a motion, please, that the Board of Education of School District number 40, New Westminster, approve the 2026-2027 minor capital plan as presented for submission to the Ministry of Education and Childcare. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. I believe we have next a standing operation report for information. Was there anything you wanted to flag in that report?
Nothing to flag, but just an opportunity for our departments to provide an update on the good work that they're doing. Oftentimes they don't come around to these meetings all that often, but they are still wanting to celebrate and be proud of the work that they're doing. So this report is reflective of that. Happy to answer any questions that you might have, but going forward, you may see reports such as this that won't be presented in a formal presentation, but offered here for the public and for trustees to view the good work. Thank you.
I have a question actually that which was maybe the last one, but I know we have installed a lot of heat pumps across the district and that we're applying for a number of more. Do you, I apologize for not giving you any notice of this, but would we be close to having heat pumps in every school?
I might have to bring that question back, but yes, it's certainly a goal of ours to reduce our carbon footprint. And so there has been a focal point for our district to install these, and we've had some pretty good successes in the last number of years, annually getting one. But I would have to report back at the next meeting in terms of that question. Thanks for the question, though.
Absolutely. Thank you. Apologies for the top of mind ADHD-ness of my brain. Thank you. Okay, then we'll move to new business. Oh, my apologies. Trustee Sluice.
Yeah, thanks. I just had a couple of I think pretty quick questions, Bettina, and also one more celebration. So the Queen Elizabeth is slated for completion January 2027. I think I don't remember. My understanding was the last time we had an update, it was fall 2026, but I could be wrong. But if you could sort of contribute or explain what's contributed to the delay there. And then second question is just, I know that the portable inventory report goes in at the end of this month, and I wondered what is the total number of portables used for classrooms in our district? And then I also just wanted to, I know you said Matt's not online, not here, but just pass on a celebration and a thank you to the work done by him and his team at Queen Elizabeth to update the 13 classrooms. I heard that this work was initially going to be contracted out, and staff said, no, we'll take it on. Is that, first of all, is that correct? And if it is, I think that's huge. I think it's a great example of commitment and care that our staff in the district bring to their work. And I know we very often have the opportunity to hear from educators at our meeting, but we rarely get the chance to, say thank you to our painters and our carpenters and the folks that are making these spaces warm and comfortable for students. So if you could just pass that along to the team, that would be appreciated. Thanks.
That's lovely. Thank you. Superintendent Davidson, I think, wants to start this one.
Yeah, so late in the summer, I had reason to text Matt. I don't remember what it was about, but he quickly shifted it to sending me pictures of the work that his team had done. Then pretty soon I'm getting texts from Joe, and it's other pictures that he wanted to share of work being done around the system. They had actually put out the project at Queensborough to tender. It came back close to 2 million, around 2 million. His staff said we could do that for $500,000, and they did. And they worked evenings and weekends in order to have it done on time. It's actually, the transformation in those classrooms is remarkable. LED lighting that's dimmable and all of those things, but the amount of care that they put into doing it and how proud they were. I was just really proud to be invited to their luncheon that they have just at the end of summer. Joe brings in a Slurpee machine, and Matt hands out food, and they thank the team, including custodial, who empty rooms and clean them and make them beautiful and fill them back up, and thank them for all of their work. And the amount of pride that they, you could obviously feel and the work that they do for our kids and for staff is really, really impressive. And, you know, you can tell when you look at the work that they do that it matters to them to get it right for our kiddos and for our staff. It's really, we're very fortunate to have awesome people like that.
Thank you.
And then I'll
Yeah.
take on the other two. I know that Director Crow is online, so maybe I'll answer the portable question, then he can answer your question, Trustee Sluice, about the Queen Elizabeth timing. We're up to 56 portables in the district. You know, that's a significant number that is continually increasing as our population grows. So yes, the team usually is hard at work placing portables as well. So again, kudos to the team to have prepared those spaces for our kids coming in. Dave, can I pass the floor over to you to give an update about Queen Elizabeth's timing?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for including me. The issue with the timing of the Queenie edition is we if we use the contract date, it is the January of 2027. We lost some time during the pile driving. If you recall, we ran into some initial struggles with the pile driving, and it cost us probably almost 2 months. We're hopeful that as we move forward, we'll be able to pick up some of that time, and in fact, we are. If you've been out there lately, we're actually, the progress is really, really great. So even though we're still using that January 2027 target, we're hopeful that we'll be moving that forward to December of 2026. So again, these projects they're kind of fluid. We gain some time, we lose some time, and we gain some time. So that's really reflective of the sort of discrepancy, if you want, in terms of the completion date. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Okay, any other discussion or questions around those operational reports? Okay, seeing none, then we're at new business and a motion from Trustee Sluice regarding swimming lessons as part of the school district curriculum. And I'll pass it over to Trustee Sluice to introduce your motion.
Thank you so much. So drowning is one of the leading causes of preventable death among Canadian children. Here in BC, with our many lakes, rivers, and coastline, the risk is very real. Too many of our students grow up without access to even the most basic swimming and water safety instruction. There are many barriers, including family income, transportation, and scheduling. The result, though, is inequitable opportunity for children to develop what are truly essential life-saving skills. The City of New West operates Tumasout Aquatic and Community Center, a world-class award-winning facility right in our community. And we have a great outdoor pool in Moody Park, which opens in the spring. These facilities provide a strong foundation for partnership. And when we look at BC's physical and health education curriculum, which emphasizes both lifelong physical literacy and personal safety, swimming is a natural fit. By working together, the New West School District and the city, we can provide universal access to swimming and water safety education for all students. Doing so would reduce inequities, strengthen our community, and most importantly, save lives. I urge my fellow trustees to allow our district to explore this partnership and to make swimming and water safety part of the educational experience for every child in our district.
Okay, thank you for bringing this forward. Let's get a motion to, I've got a few hands have come up to speak to it. Let's get a mover and a seconder to get started, moved and seconded. Thank you. Okay, I have Trustee Sluice has spoken, Trustee Delaware.
Thank you, Trustee Sluice, for putting this forward. I am in support of this. I used to be embarrassed, but I've been taking adult swimming lessons for the last year. And even though this was actually a program that existed in our elementary schools back when I went, and I know it's existed like, it ended in the last 15, maybe between 15 to 20 years ago. I don't know exactly when it ended, but I'd be curious if either the city or the district has some sort of history of like what that arrangement looked like. And I don't know, hopefully somebody has some information of what we previously offered. And yeah, thank you.
Trustee Connolly.
Yeah, this is amazing. My son is a lifeguard and he continually comments on, you know, the lack of skill in the water that he witnesses as a lifeguard and, you know, talks about how it should be part of the curriculum. It should be taught in schools. So, on his behalf, I'm supporting it as well. No, I guess I'm just curious, is this, and I know we're asking staff to come back with a report. The questions that I have is, would it be a mandated course? And particularly what grades are we looking at? I know the Life Saving Society of BC recommends grade 3. So I guess those are some of the outstanding questions I have in relation to this, aside from, of course, the ones that you've already pointed out around costs and timing. So I guess I leave that with staff to consider in their exploration as well.
Superintendent Davidson, you want to speak to that? Thanks.
I know that a pilot is currently underway in Burnaby. So we could reach out and talk to them about what grades they're doing, why, how they structured their partnership, and then explore that with the city. So I think we could probably arrive at some early indications of how it might work before November.
Great. And I think I've got Trustee Carlson.
Thank you. I fully support the intent of this motion. I feel ensuring equitable access to swimming lessons and water safety education is a vital step towards student safety and inclusivity. At the same time, I think it's important to acknowledge our current budget realities. So I'd like to better understand where the funding for a potential pilot or district-wide program might come from. I'm particularly interested in the cost-sharing models mentioned in the motion, whether that's partnerships, for example, with the city or other community organizations, how they could help offset these costs without adding financial pressures to the district or to the families. So while I support moving forward with the exploration, I want to ensure that we remain transparent about the fiscal implications and that we have a realistic plan for funding before commitments are made. And I have one other note about the proposed timeline. I appreciate the urgency and the importance of this initiative. I'm not sure 2 months is enough time for staff to conduct a thorough research, engage with partners, and develop well-informed implementation, unless we get a lot of that information from Burnaby. So I was actually going to make a friendly amendment to increase the reporting deadline to the new year.
Okay. Just on the budget piece, certainly we've passed our annual budget for this fiscal year, and this is not part of that. So that would be, I think, part of what needs to be explored. On the question of timing, I guess, Superintendent Davidson, do you want to just speak to timeline and whether November, the end of November is possible?
So you would rarely have administration complain if you gave them more time to get something done. I think certainly we can open the conversations by November. Hopefully the board will understand if we don't get to the point of having a complete picture of how it might work, but we can at least share progress by then.
I've got Trustee Slynn.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm also in, oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I didn't register that. You're right, as an amendment. I guess, okay, so we've heard the response. Did you want to move an amendment, or are we okay with the timing that's in the
As
motion?
long as the staff is okay, I see that you're asking for the results of their explorations, including cost implications, and a recommendation no later than November 25th. If staff is okay with that, I'm okay with that.
I think the concern that I would have is how clear that picture would be that quickly. But I think we'd be able to provide you with a decent progress report by then. So I wonder if there was to be a modification, maybe an initial report in November and then a further timeline established after that.
I'm gonna say, I feel like that's in line with the intent. If anybody disagrees, feel free to amend. I've got trustee Slynn.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, I also support this motion. Trustee Connolly mentioned grade 3, and obviously we're going to need to get reports from senior staff and all of that, but I also want to make sure that we're including newcomer students and immigrant students, because a lot of those families don't have or their kids don't have swimming lessons or swimming skills. So if we're going to be offering that, like I think we also need to include those older grades, not just from when they come in at grade 3. So to be cognizant of that.
I think that's good direct feedback to staff. Any further discussion then on the motion? Okay, seeing none, then all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thanks very much. And we're at old business. The 2025-2026 board committee meeting schedule is back in front of you, trustees, because we have included some committee meeting minutes or some committee meetings that weren't on the version that you saw in June. So it is just the main meetings are the same. I believe it's just the addition of committees so that everybody can see when those are happening. And yeah, there's that transparency. Any discussion or questions, Secretary Treasurer Ketchum?
Yeah, I just wanted to add for clarity, in addition to the committees that were added, which include anti-racism, accessibility, SOGI, there was also a request by the board to add 3 open committee of the whole meetings. So those are reflected in the calendar for October, February, and May.
Thank you so much. Yes, excellent. Appreciate that. Because I think there was a concern from the board that we had lost some open discussion opportunities. That's great. And that's for information. We don't have to pass any motions on that. Okay, thank you. That takes us to number 9, trustee reports. Just an opportunity if trustees wanted to highlight any committee work or other projects that you're involved in. Trustee Andres.
Yeah, thank you. Excited this had a few meetings lately with Superintendent Davidson to get the ball rolling on the Climate Action Committee. So this was a motion that I brought forward last year and that passed. And so while we're just really in preliminary steps in moving forward, this is something really close to my heart, and I think it will make a big difference in our students' future. So excited to hopefully have an update on that coming out soon. Attended the Metro Branch meeting of the School Trustee Associations of BC, chaired by our own trustee Connolly. It's a good opportunity for districts to get together and share issues and be able to have some frank conversations around things that we're seeing and things that we're not seeing. And I thought that we represented our district well together, and Superintendent Davidson kind of stole my thunder already by talking about enrollment, which was what I was going to say. And then just something else that kind of came up there as well is just that the National Food Program, they're going to be rejigging their numbers in November. So we should look at that at that time. Yesterday, I was happy to meet with the Lord Kelvin PAC and hear their plans for the year. And it's a great group with big ideas, and I always leave feeling energized by their commitment. So that was really great. And I get to go to Tweeds tomorrow, as I discovered, and not on Thursday, which I thought was happening. And that's great too. And just on a personal note, my daughter started kindergarten at Kakite, and it's just been a really exciting time. And I feel really fortunate to go to or live in a district with just amazing schools and just caring educators, and having her teacher meet her up and just seeing the amazing positive space that our schools are leaves me moved daily, and we just have a very special team of caring educators here and staff and administration who are doing really good work. So I just wanted to highlight that now as a parent and getting a chance to experience that, which has just been very meaningful. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Andres. We've got Trustee Sluice.
Thank you so much. There's a few things to report on. Wanted to just thank Kai Smith and other SOGI committee members for organizing and setting up our booth at New West Pride this summer. We had a lot of activities, including face painting, a 2S LGBTQ+ library, of course, stickers, pencils, flags to give away. It was a gorgeous day, positive vibes, and was very happy to be able to participate. Over the summer, I had the opportunity to accompany Chair Russell to a couple of advocacy meetings with ministers to talk mostly capital. Just wanted to again thank Committee Chair Slynn for leading us through the audit committee meetings. As you heard, it was a new process, and I think thanks to our community audit consultant Vincent Tan and our fearless financial leaders, Secretary Treasurer Ketchum and Assistant Secretary Treasurer Gray, we came out of that experience, I think, having learned a lot and also with a clean audit. So big thanks for that. Had the opportunity to attend the Fraser River Middle School PAC meeting last night, where they did their AGM. As always, I provided an update on board updates, capital updates, and advocacy activities of the board. Finally, I had the privilege of hosting the Ministry of Education, who announced that early literacy screening is now mandatory for kindergarten students in BC. The event took place at Lord Kelvin Elementary School a couple of weeks ago. Our district was highlighted for our leadership in this area. And those folks in our district that are contributing to this expertise include Sandra Singh, our Director of Instruction, Learning and Innovation, Melissa Hafner, our district literacy facilitator, and Tammy Dewar, vice principal at Queen Elizabeth Elementary. I know there's many more, but I just wanted to acknowledge a few folks publicly. And that is all the time I will take. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I have Trustee Carlson.
Thanks. I'll continue with the good news. I want to welcome everybody to the first meeting of the year, and thank you all for being here. I'm grateful to have had the chance to attend so many meetings, so many school and community events. And I just want to take a moment to thank our administration and every member at our schools who show up for our students every single day. That's why we're here, and we greatly appreciate all the work that you do. I also want to remind parents and caregivers that you are your child's strongest advocate. If you want to see fewer portables, more schools, or you're concerned with the 5-block model, these challenges all stem from the district's capacity crisis. Your voice matters. Write, rally, speak up, send letters. Together, we can push for the schools that our kids deserve. Thanks.
Trustee Connolly.
Yeah, great. I just wanted to highlight a couple of the PAC meetings that I went to as well, including the Queensborough Middle School. Unfortunately, we don't have their welcome video. It was, yeah, it was, did you see it? Yeah, it was amazing. The one that the teachers did. Yeah, it was so fun. So just keeping, the celebrating going with regards to our educators. They did this welcome back video choreographed to a song, and all the teachers were lip syncing, and it was just wonderful. And it was shown to kids on their first day back at school. So it's great to see that kind of care and obviously effort that went into ensuring kids feel excited and welcomed to their school. And also attended the Herbert Spencer Elementary PAC meeting. I was also at the BCSTA Metro meeting, and all the same updates as Mark, which I won't repeat. Obviously, the one piece that was of interest was we were learning more about the literacy screening, as Trustee Sluice was mentioning. However, we also did learn that there's no accompanying funding as it stands now for any interventions. So screening funding, we will find out where students are at, but unfortunately no funding accompanying that to then intervene and support students to reach the levels they need to for their literacy. The other thing I was going to, I think this is maybe a good time to bring it up, was just going to ask or start the discussion around maybe having our assignments go from September to June, our trustee assignments, because going to these PAC meetings and hearing the year plans and the Christmas, holiday concerts and the grad dates and all that, and knowing that you kind of will then parachute into another assignment in January, December, January, and have to kind of form those connections again. So it's just something I want to throw out there to possibly, I don't know if it's policy piece or whatever, but wanted to throw that out there. Thanks.
That's a really good point, and I feel like we did that one year by default, and it worked well. It's a really good reminder. We can noodle on that and maybe let me know what you think. Yeah, if we want to do, a shuffle now for this year, or maybe we're, good to press on as is. Okay. I was just going to provide a few quick reports myself as the chair and a trustee, just that it was an unusually busy summer as a school board chair, back and forth with representatives of the provincial government regarding our major capital and our extremely critical asks for a new elementary school downtown, which is planned to be built right here on this campus. The Simcoe Park is kind of what we refer to that as. And then our next middle school. I do not have an announcement to share tonight, unfortunately, but we are very, very optimistic, and there's been a lot of work done, and our staff have been working very, very hard. And we're hopeful to have some good news to share soon. That's kind of all I can say about that, I think. And then staff were also hard at work on short-term capacity because it's clear to us. We all know how long those projects take. They are years in the best scenario. So just looking at what do we do for the next 2 years? What relief can we provide to very, very crowded schools like Kakite and Lord Kelvin, and that the high school, which I think everybody would agree is really feeling the pressure, despite excellent work from staff to make this 5-block timetable work. But I think we're definitely, we're seeing, of course, it's challenging in its first year. I attended the Howie PAC meeting the first of the year. I missed the Kakite meeting. I am so sorry. It wasn't in my calendar. I'm going to be at the next one, and represented the board at the first DPAC meeting of the year, which was a great conversation. And then I was unable to attend the literacy announcement, but we did have the minister, as Trustee Sluice mentioned, the Minister of Education chose to come here to highlight their plans for universal early screening for literacy, which is something that we believe in really strongly in Westminster, and our staff have provided a lot of leadership on. And we know that work is not perfect, and there's lots to do, but early screening is something that we've been doing now for a couple of years and really believe in. And then I was also just reflecting that I believe, this work at the table, we pass budgets, we pass policy, but it can also be deeply personal. And I believe we have 4 trustee kids in the grad year of 2026, 2 of mine and 2 others, will be graduating from the district, inshallah, this year. So, and then 1 trustee kid entering kindergarten. So, It's just, we live it. We live it as well on a day-to-day, and just echo the comments that Trustee Andres made, that it's humbling to be a parent, and also just see the incredible work that our staff do. And with that, I move us to question period. So this is an opportunity for anybody in attendance to fire a question at me on matters that arose during the meeting. And I think we covered off everything. I think you can probably ask anything you got. And we will attempt to answer it. And sometimes we have to take it under advisement. We are going to, I see that our representative from the New Westminster Teachers Union online, and we'll start there. Go ahead, Christy.
Hi, I'll just do a quick sound check. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Perfect. All right, great. Well, I'm sorry to not be able to join you for the first one in person. I had a union meeting until about 5:30, and that just didn't allow me enough time to get down there. I'm going to start by, well, first, thanking you for prioritizing Squowitch in the grant process. I understand that it's a grant that you're asking for at this point, but anything we can do to provide that cooling system at Squowitch would be a huge gain for those teachers. Been looking at the sun outside my window and really enjoying the great weather, but I know that it can be hard when it's hot and difficult to concentrate. I do have a couple of questions about cooling, probably predictably. Just wanted to confirm that the QE Annex is going to have a cooling system of some sort. So if somebody can address that. And then also just to once again say that portables get incredibly hot too. So I've heard a few times that new builds across the province are supposed to have a cooling system attached to them. I'm just wondering if anybody can remind me if that's completely accurate, and if anybody had a brilliant idea over the summer of how we could keep the portables cool. I'd love to hear that as well. The other thing I wanted to just sort of ask, I know it's early years, but as soon as we start talking about changing the 5-block model even more, I'm sure that many of my members are going to hear that and wonder, is this possibly a time to also take another look at additional learning spaces? I know that we had you had a long conversation over the last couple of years about portables or temporary walls, that sort of thing at the high school. Is there anything there that we could do to mitigate this sort of spread of instructional time? I do worry about students, especially when they're getting to that grade 10 to 12, going to school later and later into the evening, and what that might mean for sports, part-time jobs, things of that nature. And then finally, swimming lessons. I also want to just chime in and say, as a student in Coquitlam, I believe it was grade 5. I was certainly in grade 5 when we all did swimming lessons. So I remember very clearly going to the outdoor pool by, I guess it was Moody Park in Upper Coquitlam, 6 lessons, something like that. And it obviously was a highlight. It stuck out in my mind. So I think this is a great idea. I do hope that we keep in mind Article F22, which is the professional autonomy article in the collective agreement, and think about, what sort of, if we do get the funding, mitigating things we can put in there in case there's obstacles. Maybe I'll just leave it at that. Great, thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Maybe we'll just go through the question about cooling in QE, if the expansion includes cooling and if all new builds include cooling. The second one is maybe open to interpretation.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if Dave, who I know is online, could maybe pop on and answer the question about QE cooling. I believe it is accounted for, but Dave, maybe you could chime in.
Yeah, thank you, Bettina. Absolutely. In fact, all new builds within New Westminster and Vancouver as well require cooling. So it's mandated on any buildings moving forward. And it's also encouraged the ministry to fund those. So yes, the answer is yes to that building as well as new buildings that we're pursuing.
Thank you, Dave. And then there was a question regarding portables. I don't know if there's any, I don't know if Dave, you're able to answer if for additional portables that we're placing this year, what those are looking like. But I know we didn't budget any additional dollars for that.
Yeah, the challenge we run into sometimes with portables, with cooling, because they are considered temporary structures, the power requirements to add cooling to some of the portables is a challenge. You'd be looking at considerable upgrades, but absolutely where we can and where we put in the portables all come stock now with cooling. The challenge we have in some of the areas that we try to install them is we don't have the actual power to hook them up without huge upgrades to the power in a particular district. But it's certainly the mandate. Again, I'm speaking a little bit for Matt, who's not on here today, but I think that's fair comment. So.
Okay, thank you. And then there was a question regarding just learning spaces, the instructional time at the high school. Superintendent Davidson?
And so with our consideration of the 5-block model, we're not actually contemplating extending the day further, but just distributing the students within the 5 blocks that are in the current schedule differently. So there would still be the same distribution in terms of the day running for teachers, A to D or B to E. There would, however, be some students who would have A to E schedules.
Okay, thank you. And then it is noted, the article F22 regarding professional autonomy. And yeah, I think that covered it. Christy, was there anything else you wanted to highlight?
No, that's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Were there any other questions? I'll just start with online because that's sometimes tricky. And just give people a minute to find your unmute button and turn on your camera. I'm not seeing any, so if you do have a question online, please use the react button to raise your hand or turn on your camera and wave at me. Otherwise, we're going to go to folks in the room. Anybody in the room who'd like to speak, come on up. Yeah, and if you can just please introduce yourself, your first and last name, and then just make sure the green light is on your microphone. Thank you for those who are online.
Good evening. My name is Leah Barrett. I am the recording secretary for QP Local 409. I also work at the Welcome Center in the high school. So I am very aware of all the challenges that we're hearing about tonight. I'm actually here this evening on behalf of our QP 409 president, Carrie Andrews. She could not be here tonight. So first, she would like to thank you for allowing QP the opportunity to speak tonight. We appreciate being part of these important discussions about our schools and the well-being of the students and staff who make up our education community. As many of you know, this school year has begun with significant changes, most notably the implementation of the 5-block schedule at New West Secondary School. Transitions like this are never simple, and the staff at NWSS have been working hard to adjust. However, the adjustment has been made even more challenging by a lack of adequate support, particularly for our students with diverse needs and complex needs. We are seeing a troubling pattern emerge across the district, especially at NWSS. Cutbacks to educational assistant positions are having serious, tangible impacts. Students who rely on these supports to engage, learn, and succeed in their classroom are now left without the help they need. These are not abstract numbers or staffing charts. These are children, and they're being asked to navigate their education without the support structures they require to thrive and that have played a key role in their educational program for many years. Let me be clear, like Carrie be clear, when we remove EA support from a classroom, it's not just the individual student who's affected. Teachers are stretched thinner, trying to meet increasingly complex needs without the necessary team around them. Other students in the class are impacted as teachers are forced to divide their attention in ways that are simply not sustainable. And our EAs, the heart of inclusive education, are often asked to do more with less, facing overwhelming workloads and emotional strain. On top of this, the recent loss of the 2 noon-hour supervisor positions at NWSS has had a profound effect. These individuals played a crucial role in maintaining a safe and structured environment, supporting students in the hallways, supervising during lunch, and helping manage student needs and behaviors. Their absence is deeply felt and is already affecting the school climate in noticeable ways. The current staffing situation is not sustainable. It's not setting students up for success. It's not supporting teachers, and it's not aligning with our shared values of inclusion, equality, equity, and student well-being. We know that budgets are tight. We know that change takes time, but we also know that investing in support staff is an investment in student success. Educational assistants are not optional, they are essential. They are a bridge that connects many students to their learning. Without them, we're not delivering our promise of equitable education. We are urging the board and the district to take a close and honest look at the current staffing levels for EAs and noon hour supervisors. Reinstating these critical supports will not only improve educational outcomes, but will also rebuild the trust and morale among staff who are doing their best under increasingly difficult circumstances. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak. CUPE 409 remains committed to working collaboratively with the district to ensure every student in New West receives the support they deserve. We're not just advocating for jobs, we're advocating for children, for fairness, and for future of public education in our city.
Thank you so much, Leah. That's, well, you can tell Carrie you did a great job. And we really appreciate also QP 409's support in our joint advocacy efforts. That was really, really appreciated. And I'll just say, Superintendent Davidson might want to add, but we know that many districts faced funding shortfalls, and EA cuts were unfortunately where a lot of districts had to go, and we were among those. Certainly would not expect that wouldn't have an impact. So I'm not surprised to hear that that staff are feeling that, and I'm sure that there is an impact to families and students as well. We did a bunch of shared advocacy back in the spring, and I think it's time to bring that back to maybe our next a coordinating committee meeting, if there's time on a next agenda, to just look at where do we go with that next, because it is actually budget writing time for the provincial government this fall, going into the budget for next year. So would be very happy to talk about that there. Superintendent Davidson, you want to add anything?
Just, I think when you're in a time of transition, it's always hard. This year, we'll spend approximately $6 million more on inclusive learning supports than we're funded within those grant envelopes. And that is certainly something that has an impact on the way we make decisions. We remain among the highest within the Lower Mainland region in terms of number of EAs in the system per capita. Now, we all know each district is a little bit different. They all have unique needs and so on. What we're really working to do is to address the need to do things a little differently than we have. I know that Rhonda Jones and now Miriam Schellenberg are working really hard with the study that was done around inclusive learning in our district in 2019 in order to implement much of what was contained there. I think it's critical to understand, I think, that when you're in the middle of a transition, there's going to be hard. No one is arguing that we ever have enough. I think every district in the province would say we want more. The question is, are we making the most effective use of the services and supports we have, and what can we do to improve the way we use the resources we have? And of course, we always wait to see what the grants show for the following year, because that has a dramatic impact on the decisions we make heading into the next year. But we hear you. And again, Miriam spends a ton of time in all of our schools, as well as members of her team, working to support the decision making that's made in those schools in order to do really good work. And we know that we'll get better. that things will get smoother as we understand the new reality better. And again, we know it's hard.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other folks in person who wanted to come and ask a question, make a comment? Yeah, please come ahead.
Thank you. Am I loud enough?
You're great.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jonna Bitoki Henry, and I am the Vice Chair of DPAC. Before I address two key issues tonight, I want to briefly share what DPAC has been working on to serve the families of our district. Over the summer, we hosted 2 booths at the farmers market and collected over 80 letters from kids about their hopes and needs for public education, which we delivered to Premier Emmy. This fall, we are organizing the 3 parent education nights, including a showing of the film Screenagers on November 4th and a keynote presentation on SOGI inclusion. We're also hosting a workshop to connect and share knowledge amongst our school PACs. Tonight, however, I will be focusing on 2 urgent issues that PAC have identified: the critical need for better air quality in schools and the challenging realities facing parents of neurodivergent children in SD40. First, on air quality. We have been in conversations with 2 medical doctors whose kids are in the Lower Mainland public schools. What they have shared with us is that long COVID is more prevalent than previously thought. As long as COVID circulates, it will continue to affect children, with long COVID impacting 10 to 20% of children after infection. Nationally, it's estimated that 1.3 of all children have or have had long COVID. There's a simpler way to greatly reduce exposure for everyone, and that is filtration. Filters don't discriminate. Dirty air does. Children have no choice but to inhale, even if something in the air triggers an asthma attack, an allergic reaction, or makes them sick. Clean, filtered air not only protects health, it increases student performance and decreases staff absenteeism. We also know that wildfires are increasing in frequency and severity. Smoky skies are becoming a regular part of the school year, forcing children inside during the very times they should be outdoor the most. Our district has added MERV 10 or 11 filters, and that is a good start, but they don't filter out the VOCs and they don't capture the smallest, more harmful particles. Crucially, even the best HVAC systems need monitoring to ensure they're working as intended. In the meantime, we can ensure immediate preparedness by equipping classrooms with portable HEPA air cleaners that can be deployed at a moment's notice. Whether commercial units or low-cost DIY models that can be made in classrooms, they offer a cost-effective way to protect student health right now. The second issue I want to address is support for neurodiverse students and their families. I want to talk about the voices that you aren't hearing in your surveys and in your consultations. These are the voices of families with neurodivergent children. These voices speak in hushed action tones at drop-off and pickup. Conversations happen over messages late at night into the night when a child is yet again not sleeping and a parent is dreading the school refusal they know is coming. Parents spend their summers preparing their child, knowing school will be a challenge. Families start working in January to put supports in place for the fall. But then school starts and their resources are already at capacity. The process to get support for neurodivergent learners is a bureaucratic maze. It's supposed to be a ladder, but for these families, that ladder is impassable, blocked by boulders of bureaucracy, trenches of miscommunication, and a sheer lack of time for more advocacy. Parents are maxed out. For families with autistic children, funding drops from $22,000 to just $6,000 the moment the child turns 6. The government tells parents that the schools will provide the necessary supports, but we all know our schools are stretched thin, and that promise is not being met for every child. We know early intervention is key, yet the system seems to be giving up for children over 6. A child does not outgrow their diagnosis. Their needs simply change, but their capacity for learning still remains. We are asking exhausted parents, many of whom are neurodivergent themselves, to constantly fight their way through a broken system. The consequences? Families are leaving our district. Their kids are denied the opportunity to thrive, and their voices are not being reflected in the questionnaires because they are gone or they're simply too tired to answer. Superintendent Davidson, When you started here, you spoke about breaking down the silos created and between schools, and you wanted to create a unified district culture. We need to desperately apply that consistency and unity to our neurodivergent student population. So I want to leave you with a question and a challenge, and I'm aware I'm over time. What will this board do to make spaces for the voices you're not hearing? I don't expect an answer tonight. DPAC wants to work with you to find these families, to listen to them, and to enact meaningful change. I recognize that New Westminster is one of the most supportive districts in BC. We have phenomenal people working at every level. But better than most isn't good enough when children are struggling. With our district's wealth of knowledge and sheer grit, I challenge this board to not only fix what is broken here, but to advocate for systematic change at a provincial level. I challenge you to lead the way for all of British Columbia. Thank you for your opportunity to speak on behalf of DPAC.
Well, that was a hell of a job. Yeah, very well said. Board, we have a little over a year in our term, and I think this incredibly eloquent and powerful parent has given us a pretty stirring call to action. I know this is something that all of us care deeply about. I know a lot of really, really good work has been done, but we know we're not there yet. And what I worry about is exactly that we're not hearing from people that yeah, because those families are just holding it together. It is something that Superintendent Davidson and I have spoken about since you came. We talked at the DPAC meeting, and I think you're right. We don't have the answer yet to how do we hear from these students and families. But Superintendent Davidson, did you want to share your thoughts for now?
Yeah, I think there are a few things that are going on right now that will help, but I think there's some conversations we can have quickly. One is that we'd spoken at an earlier meeting about the existence of personalized learning plans in schools and individual education plans for students who don't necessarily carry a designation, because we know how long it takes to get through that process. That process is even sometimes even longer for new Canadian families who have the necessary testing and documentation from another country, but need to have it signed off on here. And so a significant portion of the $6 million that we mentioned earlier is spent providing supports to children and youth who don't have a designation, but we know have need. What I've directed to happen is for there to be a standardization of what triggers the implementation of an individualized student plan, the little personalized, what is it called? Personalized, the first one, the little one, that there be a standardized process for that personalized plan, and that there be a standard understanding across the system of what would trigger the creation of an IEP even without designation. Obviously, designation flows or assessments flow, designations flow to an IEP. So we're working to standardize that standard process of developing the personalized plan, and the transition model will be available to classroom teachers, LSTs, site administrators, will be made apparent to families within the next few months, because that is a shift, not in practice, but a shift in standardizing or bringing coherence to that practice across the system. I think the other piece is that I and members of my team, Miriam Schellenberg and others, need to work with you in order to set up opportunities to sit with families and talk to them about what they need on the broad scale, not necessarily just about their own child, but about what it is the system could do to be more accessible for those early conversations, and what it is we need to do to make sure that people feel comfortable bringing us their hopes. and knowing that we really want to share those hopes with them. So we'll start that conversation here right away. What that conversation can inform is the model that I just talked about. It can inform the kinds of APs that we develop, the way we think about distributing resources. And I appreciate your acknowledgement of the fact that we're better than most. But I really prefer to be the best, and that's what I want. And I know the board has been so empowering to us in order to encourage that. I will always be willing to say that we can be better and that we're not good enough, as long as it's understood that the people who are doing the work are very much so good enough, but that their work ethics and their hearts are all in. So we'll start those conversations, and you can help me connect with families, and my team connect with families in a way that opens the door to those conversations and helps us make structural change. And then I know trustees have another realm that they work within that supports the work of administration and families to meet the needs of kiddos.
Yeah, thank you. And I think that advocacy piece needs to follow. But let's start with setting up some conversations, I think, for now. Thank you. Any other questions or comments from those here? Welcome. Go ahead.
Hello. Hi, my name is Junior Chuang, and I'm here on behalf of a group of French immersion parents from School Echo Kakite. So last night, quite a few of us were at the Canadian Parents for French AGN that was held at the Kakai Elementary School, and we were presented with, I guess, a proposed program by the board of what the future of the French would look like. So I think the bulk of the discussion was centered around consolidating the French immersion sites into one site. And I think as parents, we strongly believe that French immersion should remain accessible in, downtown and uptown location. I think families across the district have chosen the program for its proven benefits. And our biggest concern as a group is limiting it to one site, excluding many students due to distance, transportation challenges. And while we do appreciate that, like, this is coming from ways that we try to innovate and figure out how we can solve the resource and space issues that we currently see in the newest school district, there are just some things that we want the board to kind of consider. So, for example, if consolidation is unavoidable and it's something that you guys want to go forward with, then we're asking the board to kind of look into the transportation issue and see if there's some sort of solution that can be provided, whether it's dedicated bus service, so that no child should lose the opportunity to participate just because of geography, because many of the families might not be able to make that transportation happen, right? Another consideration that people have raised is accessibility for either on-site or off-site before and after school care, because for many of the students who are currently attending either before or after school care, a lot of times their care program are directly tied to the location of their school, right? So, daycare, they're usually offering services to one, maybe two school. That's something that we're hoping will kind of be under consideration as well. And I think consolidating the program to one location will require many families to secure alternative childcare, which is already short supply in our community. And I think we just want to say, hopefully you guys can prioritize, access, equity, and, make this program open to all families if possible. That's all.
Thank you so much, Junior. Administration have been looking at the programs. There's been some preliminary discussions. There's not been a decision made by the board. That would be coming to a meeting this fall. I'm not sure what information was presented to your meeting and whether there a staff report? If I can ask.
Sorry, that piece I don't have on-hand information for.
No worries. But Superintendent Davidson, I think, can address some of that.
So first of all, the decision-making process is connected to the guiding principles that the board passed some time ago. The process for going through the consolidation would take us through a coordinating committee in early October. Then we would bring the recommendation to the board in late October, and then there would be consultation, conversations, open house kind of dialogue in November, and a decision made prior to program of choice registration, which I think opens January 9th. We do not intend to propose a consolidation to one site. The intent is to consolidate to two, which it falls in line with the recommendation of the programs of choice report that was conducted for the board in 2023, 2022, somewhere in there. So I can tell you that our intent at this time isn't to consolidate to one site. Certainly, we'll have conversations about the other elements that you raise, and people will have an opportunity to share their thoughts during the open house process and so on. But rest assured, we're not at this time considering consolidating to one.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Junior. Any other questions? Comments? Yeah, come on up. Go ahead. Go ahead. You're good. Yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to. Yeah, and if you could just hit the button and wait till it turns green and then let share your full name, please.
Hello, my name is Don Doyle. I am the new PAC chair at Queensborough Middle School. So I've been on the PAC for 5 years, but I wasn't going to talk tonight. I thought I was just going to come and listen. But thank you for passing a motion to aggressively pursue a bus at Queensborough. That's so cool. That's really good. Because, but my question is, thank you for passing that. But my question is, when I hear the word aggressively pursue, we need a plan how we're going to pursue this. I know there's a petition going out right now. Steve Kruller, our MLA, he's got one going. Lots of talk about the bus, especially with the grade 5s who are coming into our school. Are we going to have a bus? We go, we hope so. But anyways, I just want to say thank you for that. And if you come up with a plan or want to put a planning committee together, I will happily sit on that and go from there. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's really appreciated. And that's a wonderful offer. I think we'll have to take you up on that. Trustee Delaval?
Well, I was just going to say, I feel like parents always wonder, like, how can they be effective in that space? And I feel like letter writing campaigns support us in doing our work if we're able to like point to hundreds of letters that are sent to the minister. It supports us in our work as well. So that's an option as well. And yeah, for you guys, and we'll do some other stuff as well. Yeah.
I will say, I know you mentioned talk, and that is what politicians do, for better or for worse. It is how we get a lot done. And letters are helpful. I feel bad asking parents to always have to do this work, but the reality is it was a little bit of an unusual pilot. It has been extremely effective. We've proven that it is absolutely needed. There's huge uptake. It's very, very successful, and I think we've seen what a difference it makes for families, for the school. So there's such a strong case to be made, and we will certainly do everything we can from the board side to hopefully do the heavy lifting on that advocacy. You looked like you had another question.
With this petition, would I be allowed to take that petition into the school and have the students sign it instead of myself standing outside? Would you sign this? The PAC, we can organize it to go to the classroom, and we can get right from the elementary school all the way to the end of the middle school. But am I allowed to do that? Can I do that?
let's figure that, let's figure out how we can do that. I think through the PAC, you could certainly get something out to families, to officially sign a petition to government. I think you have to be kind of voting age, but there's no reason why students can't sign their own letter. I think that's a lovely idea. Maybe Superintendent Davidson can help us sort that out at the school level.
Yeah, there's you're right about petitions and age and so on. It can be a little bit of a testy subject if it appears that district leadership is encouraging children to lobby the government that funds them. And so we want to be mindful of that. That's not to say that families can't write letters and share them with their friends. And it's not to say that a class might say, what's an interest, what a teacher might not say, what is a matter? What is a thing that is a serious matter to you, something important to you? How can I help you as part of learning to write letters? Write a letter, but it needs to be sort of them identifying the matter. Again, to me, it's just, we don't want to run the risk of people saying we're actually using kids in the process as much as giving them the opportunity to have voice. And parents can do the petition thing. I hope that sounds reasonable. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay. Any other questions from folks in attendance? I'm not seeing any. Then I think I'm going to move to notice of meetings. Our next regular board meeting is October 23rd. And the record of our June 23rd, 2025 in-camera meeting is attached. I also just wanted to recognize that, of course, Tuesday is the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. It's a day that's very, very important to us here in New Westminster Schools. I know every school has their own activities, and teachers lead discussions and activities, and recognize that day or that week, really throughout this whole week. I think there's a lot of things going on in schools. I know that I think this is the grad year, the first graduating class that will have completed the Indigenous grad credit. No, that's not right. We did that already. So that's right. Sorry. I think the thing I'm remembering is that this is the graduating class who had reconciliation content for their entire school year, I think is what I'm remembering. Yeah. So it's going to be a pretty neat cohort. So just encourage all of us to use that day of learning, read a book. I've picked up a couple of new books. I'll be at the event down at, I think it's at Pier Park, that Spirit of the Children puts on every year. It's really, really deeply meaningful event. And I know that Indigenous members and leaders in our community really appreciate when those of us who are not Indigenous pay respect and participate in those events. And I shall stop talking. We are at adjournment, looking for a motion to do so, please. It's moved and seconded. Thank you so much. Trustee Connolly.
I would just say everybody should be cheering on Team Canada women's rugby on Saturday at 7:30. I know the city is organizing some viewing parties at Century House and at Queensborough. Thank you. So go Canada.
Amazing. Thank you. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you so much. And trustees, we're going to reconvene at 8 p.m. for the rest of our in-camera meeting.
Will we go back to Teams for that, Maya?
Yes, we will.
Thank you.
Trustee Sluice.
Thank you.
All.